Stress, as defined by William C. Shiel Jr., a medical author, is a physical, mental, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension. Cortisol, a chemical within the body known as the stress hormone, is responsible for making you feel stress, as it becomes released inside the body due to external factors and internal factors, which are referred to as stressors. External stressors may include major life events such as job loss, death of a loved one, or demands placed by the physical environment such as excessive lighting or noise. Conversely, there are also stressors that occur within us. They are referred to as internal stressors. Examples of these are having unrealistic expectations, negative self-talks, or choosing a lifestyle where there is excessive caffeine in the alcohol and constant lack of sleep. In this video, we will be tackling the possible effects on the performance of students regarding their academics as they become exposed to road traffic. According to a study back in 2018, students who typically experience academic setbacks, such as a bad grade, the amount of cortisol within their body typically spikes. For most students, it drops back down to normal levels a day later, but for some, it stays high. To know more about the effects of stress on road traffic for a shorter and longer term of time, we asked to interview 3 students on what their experience is towards this issue. This aims to know what the shorter and longer terms of time that stress inflicts on students, as they typically remain fixated on the setback and have difficulty moving forward.
So, what do you feel about the road traffic?
I have negative feelings towards it.
I don't like it.
I am not fond of it.
Why do you say so?
As a commuter, it feels so tiring to always have to wait in traffic all the time.
It feels draining to constantly have to wait in the middle of the traffic after a stressful day.
Because traffic causes me so much stress.
Why do you think that?
Well, firstly, it is irritating to be stuck in traffic because of my studies. I don't get enough time to do schoolwork. I feel like I'm wasting my time because instead of being in traffic, I could be doing this and that.
Well, for me, I wasn't really much a commuter since I was always being fetched by my service whenever I go somewhere. But when I started commuting, I noticed that I kept making mistakes and losing focus.
After being stuck in traffic so much, I feel more tired and exhausted. Sometimes, I just feel unmotivated and considerable tired.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I feel as if I'm slower, like I have a slow reaction time. I also noticed that I have difficulties in breathing more often than then.
In school, I usually performed average in my academics. But when I started commuting, I noticed that I lost much more focus in my studies. I had developed a shorter attention span.
In terms of my education, I just feel less motivated to do work, and even though I am only sitting in traffic, when I get home, I feel so tired to the point that when I lay in bed, I easily doze off.
What do you mean by that?
Like for example, a research group. There are times where I don't easily follow along the topic they're discussing, which really doesn't help me in my performance, in my contributions towards our research. I also have a monthly checkups that alerted me that my lung health had over the years deteriorated.
When there's a discussion, I can't seem to focus on the teacher, and sometimes I can keep my hands to myself, like I always need to talk to someone, and the fact that I am grade conscious does not help me in the slightest.
Like because of traffic, even when I wake up early, I always go to school late, and some factors such as loud noises, smoke, and rude people inside the jeepney really stresses me out and tires me. And the fact that I have to deal with this for several hours in one day is really tough.
So how does this make you feel?
Sad, like I don't do my best and this makes me feel and somehow slightly annoyed with my skills.
I feel more worried and anxious every exam season. I feel incredibly sad when receiving grades that don't exceed my expectations because it feels really low to me.
Annoyed and irritated, and at the same time tired, because I have to deal with this daily, and this really affects my attendance, which makes me miss lessons.
So, last question. How do you deal with this?
I try to redirect my attention from the traffic. I usually listen to music and sometimes I just surf the web. If I have someone I know commuting with me, I just strike up a conversation with them. And even though it's a little cliche, I take deep breaths to calm myself.
Sometimes I make time to release it all by exercising and playing sports like volleyball at least thrice a week. I also surround myself with friends and positivity so that I feel less burdened and laughing a lot.
I try to get up really early so that I don't go to school late. Sometimes I have my father drive me to school. And when I'm in the jeepney where people annoy me, I just calm myself by taking deep breaths.
Alright, that's all. So, thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview with me.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
You're welcome po. Thank you po.
You're welcome.
To conclude, our three interviewees said that in their experience towards road traffic, it had significantly affected them. For our first interviewee, she stated that road traffic is something that usually makes her feel stressed and affects her in both short and long terms of time. In terms of the short-term effects that traffic had on her, she said that it made her lose her time, especially in her schoolworks, to do more loads of work in her academics. For long-term effects of stress that had induced on her, she realized that she had a slower reaction time and had difficulty in concentrating, which resulted in her not being able to keep up with the other members of her group in their research project. She also stated that her lung health had weakened considerably, which affected her efforts in studying. Now, for our second interviewee, the short-term effects that this had on her was exhaustion and irritation, and with the long-term effects being a loss of focus in academics because of her developing a shorter attention span, which had a significant effect on her focus on schoolworks. And her developing a shorter attention span could stem from her attitude towards traffic, correlating to always wanting to move when stuck in traffic. She also added that she was prone to making mistakes. Our third interviewee had indicated that he gets easily irritated in commuting because of several factors when stuck in road traffic, such as loud noises, the putrid smoke, and the not so pleasant people he encounters inside the jeepney, which in turn makes him easily grouchy in school. Another short-term effect that road traffic had induced on him is tardiness. Because of traffic, he easily misses lessons and discussions. For the long-term effects, he feels more unmotivated to do schoolworks because he is easily tired from the nuisances he experiences on the daily, which overall leads to the second long-term effect that traffic had on him, which is fatigue. On a daily basis, he has to deal with the annoyances that pester him, which makes him easily tired. Overall, the effects of stress towards road traffic is noteworthy to their behavior and overall performance in their academics.